Done. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Global Flow series. I have been absolutely loving all the interviews so far, and I know you're absolutely going to love this one. So I've been following Kat for a while. She has epic content. She's also based here in Australia. I love her, and I want to introduce you all to her as well. But I'm going to do the official bio so you know exactly who you're dealing with. She is, and just get right into it. So Kat Loterzo helps kick-ass entrepreneurs, artists, visionaries, and revolutionary fucking leaders design the business and life of their dreams. Her special gift is in inspiring, motivating, and empowering those who have already know they can have it all to get out there and take it all. Kat is a best-selling author and an internationally renowned speaker, entrepreneur, and coach, as well as the founder and creator of literally dozens of online products and programs. She built $1 million a year and growing business initially by teaching women how to create the body of their dreams before transitioning into her current work as a success mentor to fellow driven leaders. Kat is also an expert in no BS coaching and would love to help you create a business and life you love completely on your terms. And I absolutely, I just love this. You're awesome. I have so much respect for you, especially because I know you live in flow because you are an absolute content machine, and anyone that creates content at the rate you create it is just so in alignment and so in flow. And I saw you doing a whole live stream on flow, and I was like, right, you're perfect for this summit. So can you fill in a few gaps about where you've come from, how you got to where you are, and just let us know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, definitely. So firstly, thank you so much for having me on the Global Flow series. It's really exciting, and I love the title of it. Obviously, flow is probably one of my favorite words. And it's probably a relevant place to start with the story, because I guess where I'm at now, which is I have this incredible business where I get to wake up every day and do what I love and make pretty serious amount of money doing that, and a pretty serious impact as well. That all came about because way back in my early 20s, I first came across the concept of flow, and I actually read the book Flow. I won't say the author's name because it's definitely the hardest name in the world to pronounce ever, and nobody knows how to say it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people know this book, or if you don't know the book, definitely go and look up the book Flow. And it's a book about essentially tapping into your calling, but also just basically creating a state, whether in business or in life or in your day-to-day, where you're connected to what's inside of you. And when I came across this concept, it just brought up all of these things that I had always known inside of me were real. And I'm like a lot of people who are probably listening to this, in that I grew up always having this feeling like I'm not going to live a normal life. I'm going to do something different. I was born for more, as ridiculous as that kind of sounds in your head when you're younger, or even when you're not so young, I guess. And it was just this feeling I had inside of me that I'm just, I'm going to make millions and impact millions and change the world. Basically, it was actually more of a knowingness. But at the same time as having this kind of knowingness or feeling inside of me, and even from a very young age, I still followed a normal pathway, I guess, a normal success pathway of trying to go, okay, what's my career going to be? What will I study after high school's finished? And what should I do with my life? And I went down a pathway of becoming a lawyer. I got the grades for it. I got into law school. I literally went to one class, and I was just, no, I just can't do this. And I think that's roughly around where my kind of rebel streak kicked in, because prior to that, I'd been the good girl. I was top of every single class academically. In my family growing up, if you brought home an A and not an A plus, it was kind of well, what went wrong? And so I was always a really good student. I was always top of every class, except for in sports, where I was always picked last, which is crazy, because then I ended up a trainer for 13 years. Seriously? And I'm so fitness obsessed now. But I was the most uncool, kind of nerdy school square type kid growing up. I was literally the kid who at the play break was sitting under a bush. I had this section in a bush that I'd carved out, and I would be in there with my book, wearing my corduroy skirt and eating my alfalfa uncool sandwiches, right? Not joking. That's not a story I made up. That's real, right? I had friends and everything, but I wasn't cool. I wasn't sporty. I wasn't this extroverted person that people see now. And I'm still this introvert by nature, right? So I'm kind of jumping around with the story a little bit, but just trying to set the tone here. I I guess, a good girl, and I followed the rules about what you're supposed to do in life. And then it wasn't until I went along to university and realized, well, nobody's really watching anymore. Nobody's keeping me accountable. Nobody's really taking roll call when you go to a lecture theatre with several hundred people, right? So all of a sudden I realized that, well, I'm actually not that motivated from inside of me. In fact, not remotely motivated from inside of me to keep doing this. And by this, I kind of meant the whole fucking thing, like life, right? Not life, but like following the rules in life. And I literally just stopped going. I would continue to go to campus, to the university, because I didn't want my parents to know. But I had set up a little shop in the retail section of the campus. Well, I set up a little stall in the back of the health food store that they had there. And I was giving people facials. I was offering facials for stressed out students for $50 each, which I was completely unqualified to do. And I literally just brought in my own jelly skincare products from home and sat there with a bowl and some face washes, charging people $50 for facials. And my sales pitch was to, release stress from your studies. So that way I could still go to university. My parents thought I was going to school for becoming a lawyer, but I was just like doing that because I'm a natural born hustler. And at the same time, though, I was freaking out, right? I was freaking out. I was like, oh, my God, what am I doing with my life? What am I going to do with my life? I'm screwing up my life. I'm being so irresponsible. I felt really scared and worried. But I also I think deep within me, I knew that it was all going to be okay. But it's not like I had any sort of a plan at all. I legitimately thought, this is terrible. I need to get my shit together. I need to decide what university course I'm going to do instead, since I'm obviously not going to do this one, since I'm just not motivated to. So I took off to Europe, as you do, I guess, when you don't know what to do at that age. I was there for 3 months by myself, and I came back and I'd gained some weight, like 6 kilos or something. And as a result of that, I wanted to get rid of it. So I just started going to the gym every day. And basically I fell in love with fitness, and I was still floundering around. I'd gone back to university and I was studying professional writing and editing, funnily enough, because I'm a writer now. I didn't like that either. So I wasn't really going to classes because I didn't care for being told how to write. I was like, I think I want to write how I want to write. I don't want to follow these silly rules. But again, I felt like I'm just being irresponsible, right? And I couldn't motivate myself, though, even though I felt like I'm screwing up my life. I couldn't follow through. I couldn't motivate myself to follow through. So I continued on my merry pathway of screwing up my life, basically. But meanwhile, going to the gym every day, and because I was there all the time and I was clearly becoming really into the fitness thing, one of the trainers there kind of said this throwaway comment to me like a joke. He was like, oh, hey, Kat, you're here every day. You're here as much as we are. You should work here. And I was like, oh, well, that's a great idea. So I went up to reception after my workout and I just got myself a job right then and there working on the reception desk. But then I went and enrolled straight away in a fitness course. And within 2 weeks, I was qualified as an instructor because that was all that was required at the time, just this really short course that you had to do. From there, I became a personal trainer, and I ended up doing that for 13 years and actually made a lot of money as a trainer. I became one of Australia's most well-known female personal trainers, if not the most well-known female trainer in Australia. I was known as Australia's female fat loss queen. I worked my way up through the fitness industry in management and in speaking, and really just was able to apply a lot of my natural inborn entrepreneurial traits and talents. And I kind of loved the fitness industry because as a trainer you could choose your own hours. I also felt like I could choose my own income. I am that hardworking hustle type person, so I never felt like worried about how to get clients or anything. I just did the work and I hustled and pushed and actually made a lot of money as a trainer, and I had a blast and got really into the fitness industry. And I'm still so passionate about fitness. I mean, you can visually even see that by what I'm wearing, right? I'm like total fitness junkie. But the whole time, the thing is, I knew that wasn't going to be my career for life. And I still had this kind of yearning inside of me that what I really wanted to do was transform people's lives. And I'd been saying that in my head for since I was 8 or 9 years old, but it sounded so ridiculous where it's like, what does that even mean? Who the hell are you to go around transforming people's lives? Like you're freaking God or something, right? So I kind of kept feeling this tug, and I would journal a lot. I've always been that really kind of go within type person. So I'd be bouncing around the gym, this kind of fitness bunny chick, and really had kind of rebranded myself from being the uncool nerdy kid to being like the blonde fitness model, little shorts, extroverted type person, which is probably still loosely how people see me now, as this extroverted, confident person. But that was just me rebranding myself for the purposes of my business. And who I was really behind the scenes was looking within constantly and turning within and trying to figure out, well, what is my life going to be about? Because I don't think it's going to be about fitness, even though I love fitness. So I decided to start a blog online in 2007. I've got to get this. I've got like, it's so bothering me. I've got like a skin hanging off my lip.
Oh no.
All right.
I hate when that
I'm
happens.
like, I'm conscious of the fact that every so often I'm like biting my lips. So let's just get it over with. All right, it's done.
I hadn't noticed. I'm just listening, and it's a great.
Okay, good. All right. So, you know, partly because I just felt, I guess, that urge to explore and do something different and new and like try and branch out, I started a blog. It was also partly because a couple of my clients who were, I guess, kind of high-level corporate clients at the time were like, hey, you got to get a blog. That's what everybody does now. Get a website, get a blog. And I was like, that sounds a bit scary. I don't know what that means. But gradually I figured out, all right, that seems to be the thing. So I got a blog. And so I set up my first website. I built it myself in 2006, I think. But I went online with my first blog in 2007 and I just started writing about fitness stuff. And really, I came online in a time where the online space didn't exist remotely as it does today. There was no business coaches telling you what to do or how to do it. I tried to find a business coach to help me and there was none available. Can you even imagine, right? There was nobody who I could hire to show me how to do this online thing. Doesn't that just sound ridiculous? I literally hunted the internet.
Oh my God.
Right.
It's crazy.
So I know. And I mean, it's only a decade ago, but I had to figure it out myself. So really all I did was I just wrote what I thought was cool and interesting for people. And I would ask the people who were following me, which was largely my own clients in my hometown of Melbourne at the time, what they wanted from me. And I just kind of created content accordingly. And what happened was just from kind of listening to my audience and having genuine conversations over the course of the next few years, I sort of accidentally, I mean, I did the work, but it just kind of happened because I was communicating and helping people out. I built that business to where it was making about $35,000 a month just from selling $99 and under information products.
Wow.
Yeah. And so at that point, I kind of went, wow, imagine if I actually took this seriously and I did it properly, which was probably the stupidest fucking thing I ever did in my life.
Oh, take it too seriously.
No, tried to do it properly. Because by that time there were mentors around and I went and hired a bunch of people to help me learn how to be a proper internet marketing type person.
Yeah.
And I tried to rebrand under my own name because I knew it was time to branch away from fitness. And I pretty much screwed my business up for about the next 2 years because what I did was I tried to follow all of the rules of how to grow an audience and how to sell and what to sell. And I just nearly destroyed my own soul in the process by applying essentially pretty much the same, I'm going to say, sales, marketing and launch type stuff that people are trying to apply today. So if we fast forward to now, just to cut out some massive chunks of the story, but just to bring it into the here and now what I'm known for is kind of this, I guess, rebel entrepreneur who breaks all the rules and kind of does whatever the hell she wants. And it's kind of like, fuck you, I'll do what I want. And I have this aggressive energy and it's all about just doing what you feel is right. And I'm really passionate about it. I'm really known for being, you know, I guess aggressive and assertive and swearing a lot or being ranty or whatever. Well, it all comes from a place of me having gone through this place of breaking my business, not listening to myself, trying so desperately to be a good student again and to follow the rules because I wanted to do it properly and nearly destroying my own purpose and destiny in the process. And then eventually reaching this breaking point basically where I just went, fuck this. I don't even care if I literally said, I don't even care if I never make a cent again. And my business was nearly at $1 million at that point. And I walked away. I just went, no, if I keep doing this, I'll get trapped by the money.
Yeah.
I'm an addict by nature, like a lot of entrepreneurs. I've learned to cultivate great addictions like fitness. But one thing was I could feel that I was getting addicted to the money because you can make money following those rules if you do the work. And I did the work, but it wasn't in alignment. I knew I wasn't living my purpose. I was starting to hate my business and life. And I just knew that I had to walk away because deep down I believed there is a way that you can make money doing what you love. And I just still had that feeling inside of me, like I'm here to transform people's lives and teaching fucking sales and marketing is not doing that. So there you go. That's a little of my story.
Wow. Well, oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing all that. There were so many pieces from that I want to like dive deeper into and ask you a little bit about. But before we do that, I'm asking, the one question I am actually asking people, because I'm just letting the rest of it flow, is what does flow though mean to you? Because I think a few people, not everybody's has read Mikhail Chiknikov's book, but what
Whoa, nice work.
something like that. That was horrible, butchered it. But what does flow mean to you?
It means everything is on path and right and as it should be, right? Now, it doesn't mean rainbows and sunshine and marshmallows and unicorns necessarily, right? This is important. Flow still comes with struggle and stretch and stepping outside of your comfort zone. And so if you're walking around expecting flow to be like, la, 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 everything's perfect and I'm floating on a cloud of, rainbows and unicorns, although unicorns would be uncomfortable to float on, right? You know what I mean, though? Like, sometimes I think people feel like, oh, well, I'll know it's right, or it should feel like just amazing all the time. Well, yeah, but there's pain to flow, right? Like, if you think about what growth means, even the very term growing pains, right, relevant to people growing up physically, I mean, it's supposed to hurt to grow. But it's good pain, and it's the pain of stretching, and it's the pain of going to the next level, and it's the pain of essentially stepping into who you are. It's almost like a continual process of rebirth. So flow can sometimes just feel like, sometimes I do feel like I'm floating on a cloud of marshmallows, like I'm so in the zone and I feel so sure of myself and everything's just working perfectly and the whole world is conspiring to make my life amazing. Sometimes I feel like that, right? But there's other times where I'm like I just want to turn my own skin inside out, because you're growing and you're stretching and going to the next level. So one big thing that I've learned that's been hugely powerful for me has been to not freak out when I feel like that. Like, a lot of people freak out, like, oh my God, this is bad. I must be doing something wrong. It must mean something bad. Whereas I think if you're feeling resistance, if you're feeling discomfort, even if you're feeling anxiety, overwhelm, like you're going to freak out or you're going to melt down, instead of reacting to those emotions and being like, oh, this means something bad, instead being like, cool, I'm growing, right? Like, if you go to the gym and it hurts, everybody knows, whether or not they're into fitness, everybody knows that if it hurts, that means you're getting stronger. It's the same in life.
I love all that. And I remember I once met someone, she's like, if I ever meet any form of any kind of resistance, I just don't do it. And I was like,
that's ridiculous.
What? Like the times where I've grown and shifted more into my path is when I've massively like pushed my comfort zone, and sometimes I pushed a little bit too far, and that doesn't work either. But so flow, again, I think a lot of people wouldn't, for somebody who's so in flow and so in alignment, they wouldn't also put hard work and hustle into the same kind of sentence. As somebody who lives in flow and alignment, can you speak a bit to that and how you feel hustle comes in and can play in with flow? Because I don't know if some people don't feel like they belong in the same sentence, if you know what I mean.
Well, hustle to me is living your life purposefully. The hustle is me taking action to create the life I want. So hustle is the ultimate alignment and flow. I mean, people can assign whatever meaning they want to a word. It drives me despair when people get annoyed about hustle. I get really ranty about it. It triggers me, I guess. But I'm just like, oh my God, you don't get it, right? The hustle is the way you live your life. Like, I'm hustling now, right? Because I guess this is work. I'm hustling if I'm sitting at the computer, or I'm hustling if I'm sitting at the gym. But I'm also, it's part of my hustle when I spend, for example, yesterday 2 hours playing in the surf with my 3-year-old son in the morning and just doing like chasing games. That's part of my hustle, because my hustle is just the fact that I purposefully choose how I spend my time in alignment with my goals and values. So that could mean, like, some days, like, the beach is right down there, right? I'm up on the 49th floor here at my office. The beach is literally down there. I'll sometimes go and have a nap on the beach in the middle of the day. So a lot of people have this perception of me like, she never stops, she's a workaholic. Well, I do a lot of work. Like last night I stayed online till 4 a.m. I didn't move from 9 p.m. till 4 a.m. from my chair because I just had shit that I wanted to do. So I was up till 4 a.m. and then I got up at 7 a.m. with the kids. And so I guess in theory I could be tired now, but I feel fine. And then if I wanted to, I have a nap after this before I go get my daughter from school, or I'll go down on the beach and meditate or something if I feel like it, or if not, I'll do some more work or live stream or something. And it's all part of the hustle, right? So It's just that it's got to be purposeful. What is anti-hustle and what's not, what I don't agree with, it's when people react to their emotions throughout the day, like, oh, I don't feel like it, or I feel overwhelmed or resistant or even tired, so I'll just do nothing. Like if I feel like I want to go and lay on my bed, I'll kind of check in with myself and go, well, is that what I actually need right now? Because maybe I do need to go and have a nap or do a meditation or something, or even just chill out, right? But I'll check in first. Is it that? Do I actually need that? Or am I just trying to avoid something? And how am I going to feel afterwards? So one of the best questions is not what do you feel like doing right now? Because in theory, maybe I always feel like bunking off and going down there for a massage and then laying on the beach. But I'm going to ask myself instead, but what do I want to feel in an hour from now, 2 hours from now? And what's the right choice to make based on that? And then sometimes it is suck it up, do the work, or stay up late or whatever. And other times it's no, you know what I actually need right now is to go lay on that beach or go take a walk or jump on the phone and just talk with a friend. And that's what I need in order to come back into alignment and into my core and be able to move forward.
Oh, I love that. And people don't talk about it enough like that. Like hustle being, you just said hustle was ultimate alignment. And I love that because people, you know, they can be running hard in the wrong direction, but they're have more resistance and they don't really want to do it. But I know you turn up because you want to, right? Like that, I think that's the difference as well. I think when you're hustling and you're in alignment, it's because you're there because you love it and you want to do it, and it doesn't feel like this this massive onerous task. And I'm a big fan as well of checking in of it. Like, what am I really scared? What do I really need? And what do I really, am I scared of something? Am I avoiding something? I love all that. Love it. I was also just noticed as well, like, I think a lot of people will be quite, like, in some ways, like, you've blown up in the last, I mean, I've been following maybe for a year. I've been part of I've known who you are, maybe a year and a half. And I feel like you've just absolutely blown up. And that's when people start talking about, oh, she's an overnight success. But obviously you've been online for 10 years, right? So it's an absolute myth. But do you feel like...
I think I just had like a visceral reaction when you said that. Like I felt the urge to punch somebody. Not you. Because I know you're not saying it, but I was like, who said that? I'll fucking take them right now.
Right?
I felt it in my stomach when you said it.
Oh, sorry. Something I have to work on, right? I'm always like you know, and I don't mean that in a bad, like, I think people see those, you know, and they think, well, one, that you make it look really easy, and I know you're working your ass off. But what do you feel, has something else shifted into place in the last year and a half, 2 years, that's either allowed you to come more into alignment or more into flow to create this like explosion of success that I mean, I've noticed it myself. Like, do you feel like you've come more into alignment in the last year and a half? And if so, what have some of the elements that have maybe come together for you been, are the biggest learnings that have allowed you to get to this place?
You know, it's a great question. I'm also going to say that I've had people ask me this sort of exact question on interviews every year for like the last 5, 6, 7 years. So I think it's a continual shift.
Yeah.
I don't think, I've blown up in the last year and a half, because I've been doing like multiple 6 figures online for about 6 years now, or now it's multiple 7. I mean, but that's when I was first hitting some really serious money goals, I guess. And so even then people were saying stuff like that to me. And then when I transitioned it, no, not at all. But I want to clarify this because it's a great question, because it is about continual growth. So on the one hand, you're completely right, because on the one hand, I feel that way as well. I'm like, wow, look at my growth in the past 12 months. But then I felt that way 12 months ago and 12 months before that. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, you're right. And it's true. I have blown up, but then, and a lot of different shifts have happened in the last 12 to 18 months. But then they did before that as well. And then I also know that, like, if you and I talked a year from now, we'd both look back and go, wow, look how much has changed in the past 12 months, right? And you should always feel that way about your business. It should always be like, oh my God, I can't believe how much shit I was holding on to a year ago, and how I was playing so small, and how I was limiting myself. But at the time, you just shifted from the previous level. So it's kind of a continual process, is what I'm saying. And for me, that process is always elevated when I just get out of my own way and learn to listen to myself. So I guess, you know, like yeah, the past 18 months has been more than ever a time where I've been like, I could care less about what anybody else has to say about what I should be doing, or like my preconditioned ideas of what it takes or something. And I really just have learned, listen to myself, listen to myself, listen to myself. So that trust process is one that just grows more and more over time. But probably a year from now, I'll look back and I'll say about now, I'll be like, wow, I was so like, you know, not willing to trust or something, even though right now I feel like I'm really good at listening to my gut. Right. So it's just a continual process. But then sometimes I catch myself out where I'm doing something because I think like, oh, that's how I should do it and I should follow the rules. So yeah, if I have blown up extra in the past year, which is maybe true because my income increased by 4 times last year in 2016. So that's a pretty big jump, but I expect it to increase by 4 times again this year. That's my goal.
Yeah.
If I have blown up more than usual, it's definitely because of that. It's because of just continually being true to myself and taking action from what feels right inside of me and just doing it fast as well. And I guess the other thing I will say about the past 12 months is I feel like I've got way more serious about doing the work and doing the hustle. I've always been a hard worker, and I just honestly roll my eyes at the way I see people show up. I just feel like, what are you trying to create here? A fucking 8-year-old hobby? Like, really? So I've always worked hard and put the time in, but I would say I've really freaking elevated that over the past year. I'm so deadly serious these days. Like it doesn't matter how I feel. If I have stuff that needs doing after the kids are asleep, I will sit there and I will not let myself go to bed until it's done. So I've become extremely disciplined. That's probably partly because, well, maybe age, honestly. Like I'm 37 and a half now, and I think as time goes on, you do get a bit more like, let's get serious here, right? Let's get serious about how much time we've got and what we want to create. And I had to really acknowledge I want to build a multiple $100 million empire. And I'm like, okay, I'm making several million a year in my online business. That's awesome. But that's cute as far as what I want to create. So I need to up level. So that's been part of it. And it's also been environment. I've really called in some very, very cool friends, like business besties, type soulmate, friends basically. And I guess you hold each other to a high level of accountability by having those sort of people in your environment. Like my best friend Regan has the exact same sort of business as I do. We're basically soulmates, soul sisters, separated from another time, I think. So we're always neck and neck.
We're on the series as well, so people get to meet
her. There you go.
She's awesome.
We're kind of always neck and neck. So like we have a totally completely non-competitive relationship. We're both open books with each other, but at the same time, it's like, well, she's not going to hit that before I hit that, right? If one of us is that the other one's kind of pushing more, it's like, all right, time to freaking bring it. And then when we're hanging out together, which is maybe every month or two somewhere around the world, we will literally sit there and be like in LA and have like 10 invites to go to some cool celebrity party, and we'll just sit there with our laptops for like 12 hours, but drinking wine and having fun, but just working. So that's been a huge critical shift, as well as to have people in my life who are hustlers. Like one of my friends came around on Sunday night and we made espresso martinis and we sat there side by side with our laptops for 8 hours, and that's how I hang out with a friend. Not always. I still do full on social stuff. I hate to just interrupt the flow here, but my phone battery, I think it's going to die. Okay. So I'm going to have to quickly get the cord and attach it to the laptop. So I'll just be 2 seconds.
Pause it and we're back seamlessly with power. It's perfect. It's perfect. So we're talking a moment ago about extremely disciplined, hustling hard with wine, which is very important. But I think it's having fun with it, right? And obviously, and I don't think enough people are actually having enough fun in their business, which I think is a big part of flow. And I've gone through those times. I'm like, am I even enjoying this? Like, where's the fun, right? Like, so
right. Right, totally. And you also make more money when you're having fun, by the way, just on a side note. Seriously. You're more successful when you're having fun.
Right? It's total high vibe, massive raiser. Something that you briefly touched on as we were going through, but we didn't really mention too much, was the work. You were like doing the work. Did you mean the inner work as well? I know, like, I've done one of your programs, like I know you're a big fan of doing the inner work as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it's helped you create more flow in your life?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I've been journaling for pretty much my whole life in some way, shape or form. I'm a big fan of journaling. And it's actually just something that I always did. I just always felt that need to write and to check in with myself and to try and figure out what it was that was going on in my crazy head. And it was just like, I don't know, it's just something I did from a really young age. And I was doing it before I was going into the gym every morning, and even as a kid doing it. And then gradually I learned about journaling as an actual tool, but I'd already been doing it. But then I read that it was an actual thing, and I guess started understanding the concept more. And so now I journal and I do mindset work every single day without fail. Nothing stops me. And it's probably only 15 to 20 minutes most days, but it's the very first thing I do after, let's say, getting the kids ready. So as soon as I can sit down at whatever time in the morning that is, the earlier the better. Before I'll look at anything in my business, I'm journaling and I'm doing mindset work and checking in with myself. And to me, that's a critical tool that's required for business in order to know the way forward and in order to have clarity. I call it like sorting out the crazy or detoxing the crazy from your head, and also use that time to write out my goals and intentions and really just to write my reality. This is the process that I have honestly used to create all of my results. It's just from continually writing about what I want and essentially calling it into being through that process. So, I actually wrote a short book on this that's $2.99 on Amazon because people get to ask me, but I don't know how to do it. So I'd recommend people check that out if they want to know more about the topic, because I feel so strongly about this where if somebody says to me they're not doing mindset work regularly or journaling, I honestly feel like it's the most ridiculous fucking thing I ever heard. It's like if somebody would say to me they only shower once a quarter or on a Sunday. If somebody's like, yeah, I journal now and then, like on a Sunday afternoon, or every now and then I write out my goals. It's like terrible. I just can't even come to terms with that because I know how powerful it is. So if there's one like strategy that I would implement for entrepreneurs, it's to journal, it's to clear out what's in your head. And people who then give this a go, and I did a whole course around it and I talk about it all the time. So most of the people who follow me end up giving it a go, and they are without exception blown away at the results. It's literally like magic. It is like magic. You can create whatever you want through journaling.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, and I love it. But as part of my journey, when I first started getting into it, I was hands up not consistent with it every single day. And I think it was because I knew how powerful it was and I wasn't ready yet. And it was like I had to get ready, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to do the journaling because I know how quickly it works and how quickly you can call it in. So I think there's some people maybe still battling with some of that fear around it, or they know that they should be doing it, but they're like, actually, I'm not ready yet. Which again, I look at it and I'm like, that is like, now I'm like, okay, you were just being a little crazy. But I think, but it's definitely powerful. It's an incredible tool, and I'd be shocked if most people on this series don't mention it at some point, because it's just so essential.
Totally.
And I think when you get down to the bare bones of it, with everybody, the mindset work comes up, like regardless of what you teach or do or anything, it's just so fundamental. I love it. I wanted to ask you something as well about a couple of things. there's so much. I actually am like almost like there's almost too much I want to ask you about. But so there was one thing you said, one of the ways you got started was you built this client base and then you asked them what they wanted, which is I traditionally it's very important. You survey your audience, or you ask them what they want. And then, like, you were talking a lot about listening to yourself and the answers coming from within and this alignment. How do you I guess balance those two pieces of doing what's true for you versus what your audience wants from you?
Yeah, I mean, this thing of listening listening to my audience, it wasn't really surveying. And I actually don't really agree with surveying and asking. Like, I think do it if you feel really stuck or something, but I don't think that it's about asking your audience what they want necessarily and creating it. I think that can be part of it. I have made several programs, I would say, that fit into that category. But the most powerful stuff is the stuff that comes from within. Like, I don't think anybody ever asked me to make a journaling course, but I did it because I knew it was important, and people just were transformed by it, right? but maybe some people would have asked that. So there's no hard and fast rules. But really for me, it was more that, and here's what I feel it should be. It was more that back in the day, before anybody told me that there were rules of internet marketing, because there weren't at the time. Actually, it was a newly created industry that came along after I was already doing what I was doing, basically. Back in the day, I mean, really my strategy was I just hung out online, which was like the early days of Facebook, talking with people who had found my page and were following me. And like the business page was like a freaking community every day. You know, a lot of people don't get that much interaction on their pages these days. But back then it was an all day, everyday conversation. And so I was just talking all day, every day with these girls, because it was called Woman Incredible, the business. So it was just for women. And so I was just hearing, you know, their struggles in their page. So you kind of naturally just tuned into what they therefore need. And then that gives you ideas. But I was just honestly sharing what I'm doing. I was never trying to do a strategy of how to sell you something. I was just like, oh, well, let me show you how I eat. Okay, here's some photos of how I eat, because it was about nutrition and fat loss, right? Or here's how I train, and here's what supplements I'm taking. And then people be like, oh, but can you tell me a bit more? And I'll be like, okay, well, maybe I'll create a meal plan. What do you guys think? Right? And so then and then I'm like, all right, sure, I'll create a meal plan. Why not? I read this little thing, and then I'm like, oh, then I want to tell you this and this and this. It ended up being 64 pages, and I called it the Look Great Naked Eating Plan. Well, that made me tens of thousands of dollars, and I sold it for $24.50. But that's how it became about, because I was literally just in a conversation, and I was literally just saying, well, this is what I do. And then people wanted to know more, and they wanted explanations and recipes and blah, blah, blah. And so then because of that, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll do the training plan. And then people wanted accountability. So then I made a boot camp version of it. And those things became something that was making me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it was totally just because I was having a conversation, because I was sharing what I do. And I even made a note. I'm going to read this note to you that I made last night on so I have a little document where I keep a list of my sales activities. I do daily sales activities. And I wrote myself this little note last night when I was revising this document and just cleaning it up a bit. And it says, oh, where is it gone? I want to find it for you, because it's really powerful for people to understand around selling. Okay, maybe I deleted it. Oh, no, here we go. Why would I delete it? It says, remember, the best thing to sell is always how I did something, right?
Ooh, okay.
And I just put that down as a reminder for myself on my little sales activity file. Just a reminder, don't try and make some shit up to sell it. The best thing to sell is always, but here's what I do. I journal every day. Here's why I journal. Here's how I journal. Here's how you can journal. Here's the results you can get. That's a course, right? Or any of my programs or offers, it's really just, well, this is what I do. Let me show you.
And I think too many people get caught up in either overthinking it, which never gets you anywhere, or feeling like it has to be, you know, something really special or different, or, you know, this super creative thing. And it's just like actually just sharing from your heart and sharing, you know, what you do, and just simplifying it. It sounds like a much simpler way of doing things, which is always much better. And I love what you were saying about the proper way to the people telling you to do things the proper way, and how it would have just was starting to destroy your soul, because like just I see so many people trying to do a sort of, I call it the one size fits all business model, and it's just not, it just doesn't work, and it has to come from an inner place. And anytime I've done anything from a place of alignment, or the ideas popped into my head when I'm on the beach, or, you know, out for a run, or whatever it is, that's the stuff that takes off and goes bananas, and, you know, people love. So it's really, it feels really, really, really true. Okay, so just very aware of time, but if somebody was really stuck or feeling resistance in their business or in their life, what would your top sort of 3 ways maybe to get in, like to start creating some flow in your life? Like if they were really like
journaling,
one,
definitely journaling. Secondly, just start saying what you think, sharing your beliefs through blogs or live streams, even if you don't see any purpose or how that could link back to business or sales or something. Just start speaking your truth. And then third, commit to doing the fucking work. Remove emotion and do the work. because the lack of clarity is not because you need to figure shit out. It's because you're sitting around too much. You're not busy enough. You just need to commit to doing the work. What are the actions that you would be taking if you did feel clarity, if you did feel sure of yourself, if you were a hustler, if you were taking aligned action? Write down what you'd be doing every day and then just start doing it, one foot in front of the other. Whether or not you feel like it has nothing to do with it, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, this is one of the biggest things people have got to understand. Just do the freaking work. So do the mindset work, do the journaling, share your message, speak your truth, create your art, say what's inside of you, and then discipline.
I love that. I really think the difference between so many people that are out there killing it is that word discipline. It separates everybody into like two camps. What do you, if apart from always asking yourself, and I love the question about how do I want to feel in a couple of hours, and then this piece of do what you, if you did have clarity, what would you be doing? And I think that's one of, I mean, I absolutely love that piece of advice, and removing the emotion from the work. I actually, not that I'm not a big drama queen. I actually did a Facebook Live on this yesterday, but I actually just said to myself at the beginning of the year, I'm like, I'm going to do everything. Like, really, your business is not a place for emotions. Like, you shouldn't be making business decisions from an emotional place anyway. But like, I was like, what if I could just do everything with no drama? And it's such an amazing shift for me this year, because I'm like, oh, that thing, I'm like, it's just an email, just send the email. You know, like people, we create this big story and this thing around like these simple tasks. So I love that. Just remove the emotion and just do it. Amazing. Thank you so much, Kat. Do you have any last words of wisdom for anyone listening who is like, just any last words of wisdom? Oh, and I have to tell them what your freebie is as well.
I mean, my wisdom, like the number one thing that I would want to share is really just believe in what's inside of you. The stuff that you feel inside of you is real. Just make a decision that you're not going to question or doubt what you know in your heart your life is meant to be about. It's not about logic. It's not about, you know, being able to essentially validate or prove why you should be able to do what you want to do with your life. It's about the fact that this is your life. It's not a dress rehearsal. You've got one shot. You're not going to look back even in a year from now, let alone a decade or so. And you're not going to look back and say, well, thank God I waited so long to take action on my dreams. When you do finally take action, you're just going to be like, oh my God, how did I not commit and believe in myself sooner? So if there's one thing I really want to urge people to do, it's press fucking play.
I love that. Absolutely. And so for anyone who wants to get to know you better, I know you are on Facebook a lot. Do amazing Facebook Lives. So definitely check out Kat, follow her on her page, Kat Loterzo on Facebook. And there's she's very generously giving you all a free gift. And you can get that at katloterzo.com/free gift. And it's Spirit Your Way Rich, the Adrenaline Loving Gal's Guide to Self-Created Wealth Online. So it's really for women entrepreneurs who want it all now, if not sooner, and are willing to do the work. So thank you so much for providing that. And we'll have all the details just below this video. So check it out, follow Kat. It's the inspiration. It's just being around your energy is just, I love it. So thank you again. And I really appreciate this, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me on the series, Joanna. And thank you for the awesome questions. I appreciate them.
Cool. Thanks, Kat.